When it gets to winter and it's really cold and you want to heat up your tunnel or your greenhouse and get your seedlings germinated, we're going to show you how to make your own hotbed, which will provide heat from under the seedling tray and help the little seeds germinate. At the same time, it will warm up your entire greenhouse or tunnel. It's a very useful thing to do, and you'll be so excited you'll want to go out and get the materials immediately. But first we're going to start off with the seedlings and germinating your own seed. Here we have an awesome seedling tray full of organic seedlings. These are actually endive and escarole, and we always start everything off in a tray. Obviously, you can't grow carrots in a tray. You need to plant those seeds directly into the ground or in the pot wherever they're going to grow to maturity. But virtually everything else, all other vegetables, we start in a tray. And there's a few very valuable reasons why. Firstly, it's all about control, and you want to ensure success. So it's really important that you use a good quality seed so that you don't waste your time and money, and you're kind of assured of germination and a strong plant. Second thing is that when you are using a tray, you're in control. You can put it in a warm place and start your crops earlier than you would if you had to plant the seed in the ground. Because when you plant seeds in the ground, you have to wait for that ground to warm up. So if you want to start early in the season, this gives you a boost in front of everybody else to get your seeds growing. And by the time the soil is warmed up, you can plant your seedlings already a month into growth right into the ground. You can also put the perfect germination mix, which we're going to tell you how to do. And most importantly, you can keep it protected from birds or rats or anything like that. Of course, feeding your seedling trays is absolutely important, so you must know when to water them. And when you've germinated your seedlings and they're ready to plant out, you'll be happy to know that you'll get a full 6-pack of seedlings. So let's go see how to germinate our seeds successfully. So now what we're going to focus on is creating the perfect germination mix. And what we use is 2 measurefuls of vermiculite. Vermiculite is a mined product that feels like a sponge. It absorbs the water, keeps the moisture in the seedling trays, and creates spaces. To create the spaces in the soil is so that there can be oxygen in the soil. It's really important for the plants. We're going to use 2 measurefuls of organic compost, 2 measurefuls of potting soil, and 1 measureful of vermicast. Vermicast is worm castings, probably the most fantastic fertilizer you could ever use. And it will give the plant the food it needs to carry on growing until it's big enough to go into the ground or the pot. The point is that you want to get this mix completely mixed up, and you need to see that the vermiculite is equally dispersed amongst the soil and everything is mixed up really well. So we have a tray that we've already planted up of some delicious Savoy cabbage, and now we're going to plant up another tray of beetroot. We're going to fill the tray up right to the top with this mix. And please notice I'm not pushing down on the soil, I'm just gently moving the soil around. There you go. I'm going to tap it to level it out. When you water it, obviously the soil is going to sink down. Now, I like to keep as much oxygen in my soil mix as possible, so you will never see me pushing down on the soil in any way. Right. Most importantly, you have to label your trays so that you know what's being planted and put the date. Now, the amazing thing about beetroot is the seeds are exactly the same as Swiss chard. Swiss chard is commonly known as spinach. You'll see they're actually 4 seeds knotted together. When you plant your seed, you'd require about a 1 centimeter hole. Anything smaller than this, like the size of a lettuce seed or maybe oriental greens like pak choy, you would plant it closer to the surface when you're planting in trays. When you're planting in the ground, you always plant your seeds deeper so that they don't get washed away. So there you go. I've made my 1 centimeter hole, and I'm just going to pop 1 seed per hole because these are really good quality seeds and they will germinate, and I'll be happy to get my crop. So pouring those back in there. I'm going to gently cover the holes up. Please, as I said before, don't press down onto the soil at all. You want to keep that soil soft and friable and full of oxygen. And then watering. So when you use small seeds and you're trying to germinate your small seeds with a soft watering spray like this, you won't get your seeds pushed out of the actual tray. So that's it. When you water your seedling tray for the first time, once you've planted your seed, you really want to give it a good soaking. So you water it and make sure that when you lift the tray up, the water actually drips out the bottom of the tray. From then on, you will need to water your trays every single day. You never want to let the trays dry out completely because that will stress the little seedling out and that creates disease. You always want to check that your seedling tray is moist, not sodden, but moist. And how you do that is you take a dry finger, dip it onto the soil surface. You'll see some soil will stick to your finger, and that will give you an indication that the soil is still moist. Right, so now we've got our seedling tray planted up. We're going to now put these in the hotbed that we're going to make. But first, we're going to show you how to make that hotbed. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a hotbed, and we have used bales of straw, only 4 of them that we've turned on their side. You need to make a hotbed about 1 meter wide and preferably 1 meter high so that the decomposition process of the manure that we're going to put in there will create enough heat. It will generate enough heat. Doing it in a tunnel like this means that the heat will actually spread and keep the whole tunnel warm. Have to use fresh manure so that it can decompose continually, and in about 3 weeks time you'd need to add more fresh manure, and possibly 3 weeks after that, so that you can keep that heating up process and the decomposition process continual. I add in some comfrey leaves as well because they also increase the decomposition process. This shouldn't take you more than 20 minutes. It's a really quick process. Right, so we're going to end off by putting a nice thick layer of dead leaves, and basically that's just going to add to the insulation of the whole hotbed. So add those on. If you don't have any dead leaves, you can of course use straw. That will also do the trick. And it's going to take about a week for this to warm up nicely, and it can reach up to 40 degrees, which is a wonderful heat. So now we've got our hotbed done. We've got our dead leaves on top. We've got our horse manure in there, and it's going to decompose. In 3 weeks' time, we're going to have to add more so we can continue the decomposition process and continue the heating up. Remember, if you want to do this outside, you can. When you get to this stage, obviously, you wouldn't fill it up right to the top. You would probably leave about 2 inches below the surface, or maybe even more, so that you can put your seedling trays and they can fit snugly underneath, and then put a piece of glass, see-through glass, or an old window. Okay, so we're going to put our trays on top. There you go. We're going to fill this bed up. When your seedlings have germinated, you can then move your trays and just put them on a normal table somewhere, still in a warm, protected environment, and put your next batch on. Pretty easy, 20 minutes, and you've got yourself a hotbed. The benefit of having a hotbed in your tunnel is that the heat that's created in the tunnel benefits your delicate plants that you want to overwinter and keep them protected, so that they'll also be warm and grow at a better rate than they would if they were outside.